Oh my god, hey! So much has been talked about on theatre Twitter over the past couple of weeks, I thought rather than do a bunch of videos on those different topics, I would bring you a roundup video of my 5 favourite theatre Twitter stories from the past couple of weeks. A little bit of news, a little bit of opinion, a little bit of gossip. Gonna spill some tea from my National Theatre mug. I'm kidding, because it's literally just a prop. Hey, hey! So buckle up for my 5 favourite news stories from theatre Twitter. Story number 1, and definitely the most talked about this week, Lara Spencer, an American broadcast journalist for Good Morning America, was presenting a segment about how Prince George's education was looking like an American college curriculum because he had so many things on. So the story they were going with was that he had a bunch of different activities, he was learning so many things, and the angle she decided to take with this was to make a joke about the fact that he was going to be doing ballet. Now, Prince William has previously said that George really enjoys doing ballet, and Lara Spencer and her entire studio audience found a huge laugh about the fact that he would be studying ballet and the fact that he would enjoy it because she couldn't understand why that would be. Now, this, as well as being obviously ignorant about the things that boys can do, the things that girls can do, who gets to do dance, who gets to do ballet, kids growing up and doing things in the arts education, all of this wonderful stuff. Besides all of that, this is just a really outdated opinion to have. Like, who hasn't seen Billy Elliot at this point? Either the musical or the film. Like, that's a very old film. We've done this issue, we've worked it out. It's a very long time ago. To her credit, after releasing a fairly vacuous apologetic statement, she has then apologised on air and done a segment with Robbie Fairchild of American in Paris, among other people, talking about their experiences with being male ballet dancers, and for which she has apologised multiple times and wholeheartedly. So well done her for apologising, but such a weird stance to take in the first place. We're over that. We're past it. Finished. A surprise after their recent slew of what is affectionately referred to as stunt casting, in a move that is generally understood to be trying to boost sales or trying to basically keep the doors open for a show that it's widely known is struggling financially. People have a lot of opinions about this casting because while some of the previous celebrities who have been cast in the show have at least been performers or have been known as actors or known as singers, Joe Sugg being a YouTuber and having no known performance experience beyond his dancing on Strictly Come Dancing is somewhat surprising. It's a very different route for the show to take. That being said, this is not the first time a major YouTuber has been cast in a London production. There was a play at the Southwark Playhouse that cast a YouTuber in a leading role to mixed reviews, shall we say. My position with stunt casting is and has always been that you need to wait and see for the actual performance that that person gives. If you don't trust it enough to invest money in and you don't want to go and see it, then that is absolutely fine. But there have been instances in the past where stunt cast celebrities have given really strong performances in certain leading roles. So I'm going to say wait and see how Joe Sugg does in Waitress. Maybe he's going to be great. Who knows? And to be honest, none of the West End Ogies have sung that song in the original key yet anyway, so I don't know if it actually matters all that much. And a lot of people are saying it must be disappointing to be a drama student first year out of drama school to have this role snatched away from you. I'm pretty sure they weren't auditioning drama school graduates for this leading West End role. If it wasn't going to go to Joe Sugg, it probably would have gone to someone with potentially more West End experience. I don't think it's always the celebrity or the brand new person. I don't think those are the options that are being considered here. And also, if it means the show stays open, that means a bunch of other people get to stay in a job, which is also a positive thing. So you have to look at both sides of it. Story number 3 from Theatre Twitter this week is a very serious one. It's about #FalsettoGate. The London premiere of the cult Broadway musical classic Falsettos, which is going to be opening soon at the Other Palace Theatre, has come under fire from some people on Twitter, from the Jewish community, for a lack of representation both within the casting and the wider production team, the wider creative team. This is because even though there's a huge amount of Jewish representation within the musical in terms of its characters, in terms of its themes, in terms of who it was originally written by, there is discernibly no Jewish representation within the cast, or there was none made apparent within the creative team, within the entire rehearsal process at the beginning of rehearsals. The way that this has developed is a letter has been published that was written by a collaborative group of Jewish theatre makers, and it was published in The Stage, detailing their disappointment at the lack of representation in this production. This has opened up a very wide debate about the nature of casting and who gets to tell certain stories, who gets to play certain roles. This is a debate that happens very often, and a conversation that was had recently because of some colourblind casting in the West End production of Les Miserables. And the response has always been, if someone's race is integral to the role they are playing, then that should be honoured. If race is not integral to the role being played, then it can be cast any which way, then the race is irrelevant. Obvious examples being Hairspray, obvious examples being the Scottsboro Boys, The Colour Purple, Miss Saigon, where the race of the performers matters. It matters if they are black, it matters who is white, it matters who is Asian, because it has a knock-on effect on the plot, and race is what is being discussed. But for someone within a marginalised cultural group, it absolutely matters. If you think about the recent production of The Inheritance in the West End, had that been mounted with an entirely male heterosexual cast and an entirely heterosexual creative team telling a very important queer cultural story about the queer community over various decades and over the AIDS epidemic, there would have been public outcry. But how do you screen for that? It's very difficult. How do you ensure that you're going to maintain representation? Adam Lenson is leading the charge for this on Twitter, and I don't want to talk about it in too much more detail because he's doing an amazing job thoroughly laying out the issues with this and everything that has happened with it so far. Go and check out his Twitter feed if you're curious about this. I wasn't very sure about this issue at the beginning because I thought it was all about the casting, but I've educated myself about why this is important and come to realise that this is actually a very important issue about representation and about portraying characters with an authentic voice. Story number 4 on theatre Twitter this week. And the popular blog site WestEndWilma has had a review posted by one of its reviewers of the British Musical Theatre Academy's production of Dogfight at the Southwark Playhouse. And it's a 1-star review. And the pull quote is particularly vitriolic. The issue this reviewer had was with the actual plot of the production, the themes of the production, the writing of the production. Nothing to do necessarily with this production, certainly not to do with the casting. But the review almost entirely focuses on the actual writing of the show and how difficult they found it to watch. They said it was very misogynistic and basically shouldn't be being performed by young people. And my position on this is, even if you struggle so much with the themes of this musical and you think it's completely wrong for them to be putting this on as a group of young people, if you think this was the wrong show for them to choose, you can say that in your review, but there is still a certain obligation to talk about the young talent here in an encouraging and uplifting way. I think a 1-star review is such a desperate need for attention and a desperate attempt to distance yourself from something and declare how outraged you were by it. That's not at all necessary here, especially when this isn't a new musical. This has already been presented in a different production years ago at the Southwark Playhouse. This debate has already happened when it came round the first time. And additionally, I don't know why Dogfight is the line that always gets discussed as a show that people can't handle, when you have shows like Les Mis, shows like Miss Saigon, shows like Carousel, The King and I, that have equally aggressive, if not much worse, misogynistic treatment of women as part of their themes. It's all about the narrative and the way that's addressed and the way the behaviour is discouraged and the sense that the audience are given during the show of what the right message is. Now, WestEndWilma has made a statement about this, encouraging subjectivity and free speech and everyone being able to take away from the production as they choose and have their own opinions on it. I think what's missing from this is the sense that even if you really hated the writing of this show, that shouldn't have been what this review was about, because it wasn't a professional production. It was just the wrong kind of a review for what they were seeing and what they were reviewing. And I think that needs to be acknowledged by both WestEndWilma and the person who wrote the review, and an apology should be given to the students of who are cast in this particular production. Story number 5, and this is my favourite theatre Twitter story from the whole week. Evita recently opened at Regent's Park Open Air Theatre, and who was there on opening night but the West End's original Evita, the inimitable Elaine Paige. And I'm going to grab my National Theatre mug because we have a little bit of tea to spill here, because one Twitter user said she was glad Elaine had had such a great time at the premiere, but she had been sat behind her and she was apparently talking through the entire show, especially during the iconic Act 2 ballad Don't Cry For Me, Argentina, and that she was annoying a great many people around her, which I find hilarious, and also bad Elaine, but oh my gosh, that's funny. Similarly, I was at the closing night of Jesus Christ Superstar, another Andrew Lloyd Webber Regent's Park reimagined revival, and I saw Timothy Sheeder, the director, the artistic director of Regent's Park Open Air Theatre, sat in the stalls, and it turns out Timothy Sheeder is one of those people at the theatre who leans forward in his seat. Tut, 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 Timothy Sheeder. I love his work. I think he's an incredible man, but had I been sat behind him, I would have spent the entire first act of that show building up the courage to ask him to lean back and then not actually saying anything, because that's who I am as a person. But he is a seat leaner. Disgraceful. J'accuse Elaine, Timothy. Honestly, theatre etiquette out the window for these industry types. I am, of course, joking, but also it allegedly happened, so maybe I'm not. Tune in next time for another roundup of more theatre Twitter news, gossip, candid reactions, all of the above. Have a lovely day.